Dean, we both had something happen to us this week,
Yeah.
and mine actually happened live while we were
Oh
doing
yeah,
small
it
talk,
totally did happen live.
and I want to say during that moment that it happened, you were like, "Oh yeah, I think I may be getting scammed
Yeah.
also."
Yeah,
And
I
so
called mine way ahead of time because I was like,
yeah,
"There's no way this is like it's too good to be true," but I'm taking the gamble.
yeah,
And sure
which
enough,
yeah, here we go. Go ahead and
yeah,
tell us what happened.
yeah. So there was a deal on a Bandai DX Chigoken VF1S from Do You Remember Love?
Bless you, since John's not here to say that.
Thank you.
Wow.
It was two. They sent me an offer for $263, which is pretty good. Free shipping. I was like, I've seen this thing sell upwards of $500. Even in the eights, but it has some additional parts. But I could pick those up as well. So I was like, this is a pretty good deal. The seller had like no sales, and I was
Always
like,
a great sign.
that's real fishy. But maybe it's the first thing they're selling. You know, like I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. So I ordered the thing, and it gets shipped pretty fast, like within the same day or maybe the next morning. And then it was coming from Houston, so I was like, cool, I'll get this like lickety split, like 2 days tops. So it's like, oh, delivery date Friday. And I was like, cool, I'll get this thing way ahead of schedule for the show. And then Friday rolls around and it's still not in town. So it's like Saturday delivery. I was like, oh, fuck, fine. I'll wait a day. So I waited for Saturday. It never goes out for delivery. I'm like, God damn it. So now I got to wait Sunday and then Monday. So Monday, it finally goes out for delivery. Says delivered. I'm like, perfect. Go to the mailbox. Nothing. Not in the top, not in the bottom, you know, because sometimes if the package is too big, they'll put it in like the bottom compartment.
I don't think my package has ever been too big.
No?
No.
Oh,
Not.
well. Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of places that you could put like I mean, I think a package in the front would, or the back would be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Top or
and,
bottom.
you know, I was like, maybe it's at the door. It wasn't at the door. So I'm like, what the fuck? And, every once in a while, Zach, they'll mark it delivered and they just keep it for a day for some reason. So I was like, you know what? We'll see about tomorrow. If it doesn't show up tomorrow, I'll go to the post office. Sure enough, today it doesn't show up. I go to the post office and the lady is like, what's the address it's supposed to go to? So I tell her the address. I show her the tracking and everything. And she comes back with like these papers and she's like, look, this item was sent to this address. I have no clue what address it is. I've never seen it before in my life. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what that is.
Was it in San Antonio or?
It was in San Antonio.
Well, go get that address and go beat their ass.
That's
They're in
not
on the side hustle.
Yeah. So she's like, I'll send a courier over there tomorrow to retrieve the item. And if you don't have it by the end of the day, we'll look into whatever. And I was like, okay. So I hop onto Mercari and I tell them, hey, it says delivered, but the post office says that they shipped it to a completely different address. It's not my shipping address on the app. And within 3 hours, I got a notification, you've been refunded your money. These people are fucking
Because there was a paper
bastards.
trail, they could see. That
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
sent to them. Okay.
And I'm assuming they have tools that I don't, right? Mercari can look up specific details of the shipping. I don't know. I don't know what kind of tools they have over there. But they could see that indeed the shipping address wasn't my shipping address. So they just, I was expecting a back and forth. I was expecting to have to take screenshots and stuff.
No
Nope,
doubt. I'm shocked that they made it right just like that. That's great.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
Speaking of scams, Marco, how's the neck? I'm just kidding.
Right.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that on the reissue.
So what happened with yours? Because
Okay,
somebody
so-
wasn't watching Small Talk.
Yeah,
I
so
saw
in
a
the-
Here we
scam
go.
afterwards, though, Zach.
in the
that I
middle
can
of small
mention.
talk, yeah, sure. This lady messaged me like real blitz messages, like boom, 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 like I want this thing, I'll pay this price. And like I'm a very cautious seller and a cautious buyer. So I was like, I just want to make sure you understand, the box has damage. I don't want to have another Marco on my hand. And like I was like, this is about where I can meet. Like, when do you want to meet up? Because she's over here asking for my address. Like, can I pay now? Like, just trying to give me this money, and it seemed so, um, it just seems so weird, like so fishy. So I look at her profile. It's a new profile, and I'm like, that's it's not that new, but it's new enough that I kind of get like a red flag. And she's like, "What's your Zelle email?" Which is perfectly normal question, but I was like, "Well, we can we can do the Zelle like when you come and pick it up." And she's like, "Well, my sister's picking it up because she lives in your area." That's fine. Here's my Zelle email, and these three messages here at the top were sent within like 30 seconds of each other. So it's, I have successfully made the payment and I have received alert that a confirmation mail has been sent. Did you see the mail they sent you into your email? Check your inbox. I got a message from Zelle saying the funds are ready, but it's above the balance limit. Did you get a message like that? Question. And I'm like, I don't have a payment yet, but I will let you know when it comes in. She's like, check your mailbox or spam folder because I got the notification there also. So essentially what the scam is that you get a message from Zelle, with air quotes for the audio listeners, that says that you need to expand the account and you need to send a payment of $500 to Zelle to open your account, and then they will refund you $800, so your $500 plus the $300 you were owed. And I just thought it was so weird because it's like an alert has been sent to Zachary Steven in regards to the $500 additional payment he has sent to you. And I'm like, what? This doesn't make any sense. And the email looked fishy, like Google flagged the email as fishy. And of course, when I clicked the email, it was from an @gmail.com. So be careful. And to be fair, Facebook did also mark it as suspicious. Like once they started sending this message here, there was like a big bar on my messenger thing, like careful for payment scams. And it was, I just blocked this lady. She started calling me a scammer. I started like saying all these things. And I was so glad I didn't give them my address because that would have, I don't know what would have happened.
Bro, that happened to me one time. This guy I used to work with at HEB messaged me out of the blue. Just randomly. It's like, hey man, what are you up to? And I was like, oh, not much. Like just hanging out. What's going on? Like I haven't talked to you in a while. Like, yeah, you know what? Like things are going really good for me. I want to pay it forward. Like what's your Cash App? I want to send you some money. And I was like, what? You want to send me money? He's like, yeah. And I was like, why? And he was like, just pay it forward. Just I'm having a good month. And I was like, where did we meet? Where was it that you and I met? And just totally never responded to me. He's like, yeah, it's a fucking scam. Get out of here.
Wow.
And then another one the other day, my buddy messaged me. He said, hey man, I'm on the wrong side of town. I'm out of gas. Like my dad's at work, and he's a doctor, which he is. And he's not going to be out of work for like another, like I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, is there any way you could like help me out? Send me some money. And I was like, this motherfucker doesn't live in San Antonio anymore. And so I go to his profile. I'm like, yeah, maybe he was coming into town for something. I don't know. I was like, let me ask his sister. So I sent his sister a message and she was like, no, I'm talking to Garrett right now. He's totally fine. He's not in San Antonio at all. I was like, okay, well, let him know someone's hacked into his Facebook and they're asking people for money. But I was like, it would have been easier for me to drive to his location and help him out than it would be to send him money. You know what I mean?
Damn, gotta be safe out there.
Dude, there's scams everywhere, dude. You gotta be careful.
Really interesting that we're starting off with this because I woke up this morning to an email from PayPal, directly from PayPal, and it's an invoice, and maybe you've heard of this before. It's an invoice from PayPal LLC, and it's an invoice for $370 with the message, your purchase was accepted and payment was processed. There is evidence that an unauthorized party accessed your PayPal account. Your account has been charged $369 for e-wallet credit purchase. This transaction will be reflected in the automatically debited amount on your activity after 24 hours. If you feel that you did not conduct this transaction correctly, please contact us immediately at 207-558-9840. After dealing with PayPal, I know they don't have numbers like this.
Yeah, it's like
or reach
it's
us
not
for
an 800
assistance.
number.
Our business hours are from 6 to 6. Scammers use automated systems to make transactions. Only contact PayPal through the contact details given above to contact customer service.
Definitely
That is this full seller note. And they had me rolling for a second, like, wait, am I getting money back? What's happening here? It was very, very unclear. But, obviously doing some research, it's that, scammers will send you an invoice through PayPal with this message to appear that they are PayPal. So pretty fucking wild, actually.
I've had this clip locked and loaded for like a whole last year, and I just need to play it just real quick.
Here comes the boy. Hello, boy. Welcome.
Benny T in the show finally. What happened?
Oh my god! I've been in the back.
You're telling me that you got locked out of Facebook. I'm like, click the link. What do you need Facebook for?
So I reset my computer the other day before I went to California, and I haven't logged back in since. So all my logins were erased. So normally you send us the StreamYard link through Facebook Messenger, which I can see on my phone, no problem. But I log it through my hard phone or like device, right? So I try and log into Facebook, can't read it. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll just send the text message confirmation, and you get in. It will not send this message. I tried everything, and so I'm like, okay, screw it. I'll try and log my password in, and then it's like you can log in a piece of ID. So I'm sitting here with my freaking driver's license, like trying to like get a picture of this thing. It's blurry.
You could just ask me to email you the link, my guy.
Next time I'm gonna have to. I'm like oh my god,
Discord or something.
I'm like shaking over here. I'm getting all frustrated.
Poor guy.
Like,
look at him, he's so handsome.
I would have been early. For you guys. And the app just didn't speak English, so
let me fix your mic. You're all fish tanky right now. You
hate
got
to
your
see
echo
it.
cancellation on. That's okay.
Yeah.
Let's get this started.
But for the
Are you an angel?
What?
An angel. I heard the deep space pilots talk about them. They're the most beautiful creatures in the universe.
Hello there. We are tonight's entertainment.
We would be honored if you would join us.
He's got a billion toys.
You brought in the doll collection.
These are not dolls, Jim. These are commodities. Same as gold or oil.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You are now listening to the Collecting Weekly podcast.
Shall we lock in the auxiliary power?
This is the true form of floor gang right here. Very nice. YouTube.com/collectingweekly. Thank you very much. That's very cool. Big.
Hey guys, my name is Zach.
I'm Dean.
I'm Marco.
And I'm Ben.
Welcome to this week's episode of Collecting Weekly. It's a weekly podcast where my friends and I talk about the things that matter the most to us this week in collecting.
That's right. We want to thank our lovely listeners, both live and post-live viewers. How do you say that?
Yeah, on the replay. And watching all over the world.
Yeah, listening.
Shout out.
Watching.
We're number 202 on the entertainment category in Indonesia, baby.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
Moving on up, baby. Ben, I rudely ran the intro, and you had a story to share.
No, you know what?
God damn it, Ben.
I was in the hotel bed last night in Southern California.
Classic.
And I watched the show on repeat,
Classic,
and all I wanted to say was, A, I missed you guys. B, I missed the chat. I saw some of the lovely comments in the chat about me being racist and all of these things, and that they missed me even still. And I missed you guys. So thanks for having me back. My sensitivity training went really, really well.
We sent him to California, the most sensitive place in the world.
That's right. I can promise absolutely no mess ups this round. So if you got if you're holding your breath, hold it for longer. I'm going to try and be on my best behavior today. Wow. But yeah, missed you guys. Missed you the chat. Missed you guys.
Missed you too, buddy. We have Toy Mafia in the chat. Ninja Squirrel, what you gonna do when CW runs wild on you, brother? Tukatri, Carlito, Mr. Mom's Collectibles, Dante's Boneyard, Ninja Squirrel. For the millions listening around the world and the 50 to 100 people in attendance, Let's get ready to rumble. David Jones, Alvin J, Tukatri, John the Everyday Collector. I think he's working late tonight, so we may not have John on today's show. DJ, at least I've heard Mercari sides with the buyers. Ninja Squirrel, Blackbird Tech, excuse me. Dr. Equan, Paul Schreiber, the lovely Toy Mafia, Pablo Mesa, that's a scam. It's going to be a small package delivered to the wrong address. Baby Boy 562 CW baby, love tuning into Scam Talk. We got Red Wolf in the chat. Equan said there's also a scam where NECA sends Marco dented boxes.
Wow.
Baby
hurts.
Boy says I live for Marco's reading voice.
No
we
one
got
does.
Baby Girl 707 in the chat. Shout out to Baby Girl. Shout out to the baby family. Love the babies. Lane the Legend Kramer. Hey, it's another week with the team CW spreading the knowledge, the bad jokes, and the plastic awareness. Plus Marco and Ben for the extra whipped cream topping. Philip A. King Dingaling Big Dog Pound 1. Welcome, 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 one and all. Dean, we have a very special segment that all the best shows of ours begin with.
Yeah, you guys ready?
It's new this week.
Wow, Zach, you didn't even say yes.
I didn't, my bad.
hate to hear
Sorry.
Anyway, what'd you get new this week? I picked up this 1/7 scale or 1/8 scale Hatsune Miku statue from one of the music videos that they did for the 5th annual Expo, Miku Expo. I showed that on Small Talk, so I won't really go into it. But that
this
was
is not a noodle topper, right? This is something.
No,
separate.
this is an actual thing.
Wow.
But
what's a noodle topper? Did I miss
He makes
fake fan.
When you fake fan. Jesus, Ben.
I've been busy.
When you,
that's right. He wasn't on that last week's show. Wow.
He just said he watched the show. And
I
all
don't
of a sudden
miss
he
the
doesn't
noodle
understand the
topper.
reference.
No. This is on Small Talk. He doesn't watch Small Talk.
Oh, there
no,
you
we
go.
talked
Okay,
about
okay.
it on Tuesday's show.
Oh, did we really?
Yeah. Because
Oh,
I got
forgot.
these. I got these on Tuesday, and this was Thursday. Anyway, I was supposed to have another new this week, but as you well have heard, it was a scam. But I got my money back, so that's new this week. New old.
Wow. New money this week.
Yeah.
Marco, you got something in the mail.
Yeah, so I got my Module cases finally. Small order. I wasn't ready to spend thousands of dollars on it, so I kind of went with 3 610s, right? So that's, you can probably fit anywhere from like 6 to 10 6 scale figures in them. So I've got, it's kind of a hybrid of what Ben Thomas has back there. I've got that on the bottom, these IKEA cubes, and then I'm going to stack the Module cases above. So I built about 3/4 of one of the Module cases and have assembled the IKEA and put the lighting, and I think everything's looking really good. So excited to show it off finally. Although Gigi is, she keeps jabbing me saying, I'm not going to like it. The room's going to be too crowded. So she's putting a lot of negativity out there, but I'm looking forward to finishing the build. So I just will say, go ahead, Zach.
So are you documenting any of the build process for your channel?
I'm not. So I would say for the build process, I've been watching my buddy Graham, Jedi Knights Watch. He's got like an amazing tutorial. I had a Module case, like a DF, I don't know, one of the statue ones that I bought on Sideshow a few years ago. I was using it as like an end table for a while. I did not find any good resources at the time, and so that was a struggle to build that. But now it feels like there's a lot better resources. I know Dan from 6 Scale Reviews also has a good video. So I'm not documenting anything, but I've just taken some pictures, and we'll show the finished setup in a collection tour, hopefully, that I've been meaning to do for a while.
Dude, I actually just recorded the voiceover for my long-awaited collection tour.
Nice.
I've been putting it off for like 3. My whole room looks different since when I shot the video, but that is the life of a content creator that doesn't make content.
There
as
you
they
go.
would say. You also got a what is this? A new logo or a sticker that you have coming out?
So shout out to Manny, who made us some new logos for the She Said No podcast, right? So we've got some various shows. The branding was kind of all over the place. I love what he did with the 1/6 Fix logo. So I said, hey, Manny, would it be possible to get, a She Said No podcast logo? So he made a few different iterations with the similar branding where it's kind of sketched and it's got the purple around. I love this little Easter egg that he hid. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but the figure
body.
with with the head off, absolutely crushed it with this design. So very enthusiastic. And then I did ask him for these so we could maybe do stickers eventually. So really, really pleased with how it came out. And Manny works wonders. Like, the guy is incredibly talented.
I love to see it. He is very talented, and I can't wait to get a sticker. So I had a pretty good week for new this week. Big shout out to Steven's Collectibles. I mentioned it yesterday, but I got I unboxed this yesterday, but it was the Sideshow Toothless Premium Format from Steven's Collectibles, and Stevens is a great guy. It's kind of hard to separate being an international superstar, from the lay person, but I think he treats everyone, with a lot of respect. And I certainly, obviously that's very tongue in cheek, but I went way over the layaway period, and he was very accommodating of my forgetfulness and the holiday. And at the end of the day, it's an amazing piece, and we were able to work out a good deal for me to keep it on layaway. But yeah, this is such a neat statue. It's a character that I've wanted representation of in my collection for a long time. I really like the materials choice that Sideshow did. It almost feels like the body is probably polystone, and then the wings are like a really thick plastic, which is great because I was really anxious that those little things, I don't know what you call them, like the wing ends would be very fragile, but they seem to be quite durable. So as a statue overall, I really like it, and definitely glad to have it in the collection. So big shout out to Steven's Collectibles for working with me on this purchase. And if you're in San Antonio, I think he has a few more, so definitely hit him up. Great guy, and just a really fantastic statue. It really makes me want to get the original piece by Sideshow also. So definitely a good piece. I also have been doing more printing, so I have another big project in the works, and I wanted to show you kind of what a plastic print looks like with all the support material on it. So on the right side of the photo, that would be what's touching the printer base, and everything prints up from that. And then the little web-like structure that you see, those are called supports, and in this case they're called tree supports. So they kind of come up and then mesh together, and they're hollow, so they come off really easily.
I've never seen the tree supports before. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
it's very
really
organic
cool.
Almost.
Yeah, it is pretty neat. And so this is essentially, I wanted to print this piece first. One, as like, if I don't want to print the full thing, at least I'll have a cockpit. I could finish this and have something to display. And then two, this was a nice little chunk that I could separate it at where there's natural seams in the body already. But this is the whole print done and glued together. And then this is with the first layer of filler primer before any sanding. And this is what it's at now. So it's been sanded pretty smooth. I still need to fill the seam in the front of the nose a little bit, but you can see how nice you can make these prints look with
that looks
a little bit of sanding and filler primer. At this point, I think I probably need like 2 more coats of filler primer and sanding, and then it'll be painted black and then chrome and then weathered. So at this point, I just have the 2 cockpits to print, the glass portions, and I just need to wait till I can pick up some clear resin to do that. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. This is 3 3/4 scale. So it's, I can't even imagine how big the Sideshow one would be, because this is already something like probably 25, 26 inches long, which is way longer than it needs to be. It's almost as long as the HasLab Razor Crest. Like, it's a huge print.
Yeah, I think a 3-inch one would be more than enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people would be very happy with that. Yeah. But anyways, so this has really been a print that really tested me as someone doing this, because I had some failures, had some parts that I had to print multiple times. Like the front end, I wanted to print it basically from where the engines end left to right, and then from where the seam is in the engine bay, my printer was technically big enough to print that in one print, but for some reason it just wouldn't. And I had to slice that in half. And so had a lot of experience with 3D Builder, a lot of experience with supporting things, trying to be print efficient. And I think the thing that blows me away the most is this whole print is less than one spool, so less than $20 worth of material. And looking at doing it in resin, which would have been slightly less finishing work, I mean, I was looking at probably like $100 just in resin. So yeah, it was a really fun build. I'm probably 40% done. But yeah, this has been really fun, and you know, I just can't believe that it's printed this well and it's gone this smoothly so far. So knock on wood, hopefully it'll continue. Trevor says, I think a 6-inch version is going to be the next HasLab. I would really hope they would go 3 3/4 personally. Black Series scale, I think, would just be massive. I mean, you're probably talking like 4 or 5 foot long in 6-inch scale. Yeah, I think 3 3/4 I think would be a better scale. And Blackbird said, looks good, Zach. Can't wait to see the final results.
Graham also said it's not muddy enough.
Muddy enough. What do you say, Dean? I'm actually excited for Dean to come check this out because I feel like you're not very impressed by this based on your silence, Dean.
Why would I not be impressed by it? I just don't like the ship. It has nothing to do with you.
It's just such a beautiful design, Dean.
It is really nice. I like it.
No, I've always hated the N1 Starfighter. And then when they brought it back on the show, I was like, okay, cool.
At least
Same
it's
guy
not
that doesn't
Anakin's
like
ship.
the Joker, so I get it.
Dude, bro, you know they're going to pull some shit where it's like, oh, this was Anakin's ship.
Well, in the trailer, they have, I've always said there's like 12 fucking characters and apparently 3 fucking droids because R5, which we've already known has been in the show, but apparently he's going to be like Mando's co-pilot. It's like, oh my God. Wow, my browser just lost connection to my camera. What happened? Oh.
But yeah, this is cool. It's nothing to do with you.
I'm just messing with you, Dean. Yeah, so there's that. So let's get into the news. So in art, so our show today is going to be formatted very weird.
You missed my new this week, by the way.
I had it ready. Well, fuck, you didn't send it.
Yes, I did. It's in the
did
chat.
you? Okay, hang on. Let me. Hang on, Ben.
Scale.
A man can only admit when he was wrong and ask forgiveness.
You are 100% correct. Actually, that is my apologies.
All good. I just wanted you guys to get a good look there, just in case. Honestly,
let me zoom you in.
The suit is more rubbery than I would have expected. Almost like a little bit sticky in a weird way. But
was it sticky?
Is it really
before or after you
sticky?
After you had it in bed or before you had it in bed?
Before. It's cool. I like it. I ordered the Batman at the same time, and it still hasn't shipped from Sideshow, but I got this guy, so. I don't know what's going on. They say in the delivery expectations that it should ship before, or like December to January. So I'm going to be going after them for a discount if I don't get it like next week. So we'll see how
Good
it
for
goes.
you.
Keep you guys updated.
You've been hanging out with Americans long enough at this point.
Now I know the system, right? Now I know the system. But no, it's a cool figure. So I just wanted to share it with you guys because I was all excited. I got it out of the box and I've barely been able to play with it. That's what she said. So,
are you concerned at all that it feels sticky? And I mean that 100% serious
like,
because typically when rubber gets sticky, it's like the oil's leaking out.
I was a little bit, to be honest with you, because I felt the same thing with my So Toys Flash that I have, or the Scarlet Speedster. It's like. It's hard to explain though. Like it's got a weird texture to it. So cool. It's cool though. It's cooler in hand than I even expected it would be. Like I thought it would be like a harder like rubber material, but it does not pose worth shit.
You thought that he'd be harder?
I didn't think it would be just a tad bit harder. Yes. But no, I think it's cool. I really want the Kilmer Batman. It seems weird to me to have Robin in the display and lacking a Batman. They go together for sure. So yeah,
Ben, my apologies. You have my sincerest regret
for
yelling at you.
It's all good, buddy.
In Art Collectibles posted a teaser on their Instagram. I left something in your heart. Happy Chinese New Year. Greetings from In Art with a new figure on the way. My fat ass thought it was a Kit Kat and a taco. It is not.
I can't unsee that.
Now, people smarter than I have said this is Sun Wukong from A Chinese Odyssey. 1995 film where Stephen Chow's character plays a character named Joker in the movie. And this is what that would look like. And obviously those are much bigger than your average Kit Kat, as they say. And I have not seen the film, but it has piqued my interest. It's actually on Netflix. And you can watch that if you're in America, part 1 and part 2. So I'm very excited about watching this, just to kind of be informed about what's going on within art. This is not a photo of the in art, but this is a photo of what the character is and what some people on 16 Republic think it could be. So I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt. But fun facting, Journey to the West, which I believe A Chinese Odyssey is based off, is the inspiration for Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
So very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. When I saw this picture, I thought they were nunchucks, and I was like, I might be racist. So I kind of just waited to see what everybody else said it was, and then it was, obviously there's like Chinese characters on it.
Do you know what it is though?
No, I have no idea what it is. But it's my initial reaction. I was like, oh, I guess they're like nunchucks or something. And I was like, I better just keep that to myself.
Someone,
I think you didn't say it loud on here without knowing what it was.
Yeah, well, I'm admitting my own faults, but there's Chinese characters on it. That's not a huge step out of of possibility.
I really need someone to get a Kit Kat and take a picture of it on a tortilla and send it to me. Please. And yeah. I will send you CW stickers if you do that.
Can you please do that as like a tease for the next sticker and then blurt out?
That will be the next sticker, that picture.
I love it.
When I saw this, I was so excited. I was like, cool, something we don't know
saw
about.
A Kit Kat, he was like...
We're not going to have to talk about it over and over and over and over and over again.
Uh-huh.
That's why I was excited about it. I was like,
That's
cool,
funny.
no one's going to want to talk about it. But here we are.
So you know what trips me out though is this was not at all on the list of figures that were coming in their first phase. Mm-hmm. And so I understand that a lot of the DC stuff, maybe they're scrapping or rearranging. And I know John had said on Riley's stream that Mara might not be coming. But we're always going to get on them when they're not putting their best foot forward. To just bring this out of the blue without us really knowing what your next few figures are, I love it. It doesn't matter that it's not necessarily for our market. I could care less. I couldn't care less. But yeah, just communicate with us. Let us know how this fits into your overall plan, because so far we've only seen a handful of figures. This is a very random one for our market, which again, I get they don't have licenses for, but just communicate with us a little bit more, please.
Kind of excites me though, because what else could just kind of randomly come out of the pipeline? I mean, it's hard to budget for, but the possibilities are pretty open. So I'd be okay with
100%.
Terminator. Let's go.
Plus, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to watch the movie. Maybe I'll want a Joker figure. And maybe they won't make it a 2-pack for $1,000. Who is this? So Toys teased a new artist that's working on a Geralt sculpt for them. And I think the portrait looks good. Marco, I know this is something that you were excited to talk about. I didn't even realize that they had a figure on the way.
It's definitely Geralt, exciting. By the way, Geralt.
I haven't seen the show. I don't plan to see the show. Not
I felt compelled.
In fact, I tried to take this off the show sheet today, and I was told that we needed to talk about this. Gerald. This is Gerald from The Witch, The Last of Us.
Oh my god!
What is it? Dr. Gerald Robotnik.
Geralt from The Witcher, and no, I think Dean said it perfectly in our group chat. Where he's
how do you say it?
Geralt.
How do you say it? Geralt?
Geralt.
That's
Geralt
not real.
Rivia.
I'm sorry. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It's not. It's a different market though.
It's Dr. Giro, not Dr. Garrow. Are you kidding me, Dean? You listen to these fools.
But Dean said it perfectly. He's like, by the time this figure comes out, the show will already be out with a new Witcher. So it's kind of a bizarre one to move forward with. That being said, everyone loves, not everyone, but people really have liked this show. So yeah, excited to see how the full thing comes out. The sculpt looks terrific. The hair looks good. So yeah, really excited to see more. But yeah, odd that we're not getting any more from this guy. So
Geralt is a badass. We need this guy in our collection. I enjoyed the first season a lot. I didn't get quite through the second season. DJ also says Geralt of Rivia. Thank you, good sir. If this comes out from So-So, I would buy this 100%. I think it looks pretty awesome. Even if they change the actor down the line, I still think that this is going to be the one that people go for either way.
True, because it kind of it's so close to the game, right? His portrayal is so close to the game. You can almost have it as representation of that as well, which I love that game. I probably spent like 80 hours on it.
To be honest, that's one of the things that I liked about his representation of the character as much as I did was his voice. He actually did voice coaching for the role, so he would sound like the video game interpretation, and it made it. Like, it totally sold it on me. So like that's why I was worried that if they changed the actor, it's like, okay, well then he better at least sound like Geralt, or else I'm like, I'm done with it. True. So
Trevor says, of all the wacky Lord of the Rings names, Zach, this is weird. It is. It really is. Those words make phonetic sense in Lord of the Rings. Geralt, never seen that before. Never seen a Latin named Joel either. While we're
I'm gonna look up where these books are from though, and they're from a part of the world we don't get enough content from, so that's why.
Yeah, we're not top 200 in that country. This is cool. Hot Toys, and again, the show's gonna get real weird right now. Hot Toys Captain America was released. I think it's a great looking figure. I think the wingspan, I know we had some thoughts that it may be too small. It probably is. But I think on display, I think it's good enough, right? I always say, like, does it feel right, scale wise? And I think it does look pretty good. Haven't seen the show, don't plan to, but I think it's a damn good looking figure.
Yeah, terrible show. But god damn, it's a good looking figure.
You are so cutthroat today, Dean.
What do you
Who
mean?
pissed in your Cheerios? Okay, come on.
That dumbass scammer.
It was not that bad.
There's a dumbass Blue Eyes movie you made us watch, Ben.
Oh my god.
2 hours of my life I'll never get back.
That's crazy. A Canadian is rooting for Captain America.
Yeah, I like that. It's more like Captain Puerto Rico.
It's just not a very strong show. It's not like I didn't regret watching it. It's just not great.
It's not as good as it could have been. It had some really compelling themes that they don't
yeah,
expand upon
for
enough.
sure, 100%. You're right. Yeah, but this figure, god damn, dude, it looks good, dude. It poses well. It articulates well. I think moving forward, I think this might be the cap to get. I think it's a strong figure, dude. I'm really tempted to get one, but we're gonna see him in a new movie. A couple, he's gonna be a huge figure moving forward in the MCU. Not like a figure, but like a
Jesus, Shauna. Runs in the family.
Wow. Oh my god.
We're both gonna get canceled.
Ben, we gotta send Shauna to some sensitivity training.
No, you're heading to California next.
Yeah,
I'll pick you up from the airport, Shauna.
So anyway, moving forward in the MCU, I think Sam Wilson is going to be an important figure in the
of course
lineup. So we're definitely going to see him again, and to what changes to the suit they're going to make, that remains to be seen. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good representation. I don't think you regret having it. I don't think it got much cooler. I'll put it that way.
I like Big Dog Pound's comment is that he could stand in for A-Train from The Boys. I could see it a little bit. I thought this show was one of the better Marvel shows so far, to be honest. I was into it. I enjoyed it. It made me like Bucky for kind of his character arc that he's had. He's kind of gone, he's had a very cathartic character arc. I thought it was kind of cool. People say they nerfed him a little bit, which is fair, but the two guys together I thought made a badass team. I'm excited to see some representation for Captain America. I really hope that we get to see this version of Captain America leading some squads kind of going forward of the Avengers, just like Captain Rogers, right? I would like to see that for this actor and for this character. There's some great comics surrounding this character as well, so I think that they've got a lot of meat on the bone if they take it that direction. And I think the show had some some downfalls, but the lead up to him kind of getting this wingsuit and everything was pretty awesome. What I would say is I'd be curious to see what other representations of this outfit we're going to see over time. I mean, with Cap, we saw how many different versions of about the same suit, right? They kept changing the colors up a little bit, but is this just the first of many, or was it too expensive to produce and we may not see quite as many representations of the character? It's hard to know. The head sculpt on this looks amazing. Like, I know it's partially covered up with the glasses and stuff, but it looks like Anthony Mackie to a T, in my opinion. So for the folks that are getting it, I'm stoked for you guys. Also, with, like you were saying, the articulation and the wings, I know, Marco, I think you had said that the wings on the gold suited Wonder Woman are definitely not as articulated as this could actually fit in a much smaller space, it looks like, based on how you could position it if you needed to. For me, this figure doesn't necessarily fit my collection, so I won't bring them in, but yeah, I think it's really, really cool, and some of the photos I've seen have been absolutely badass. So if you get this in hand, make sure you share those photos for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, on the head sculpt, it came out really close to the prototype, right? Like some degradation in maybe the hair and a few other areas, but pretty damn close to one of their better prototypes since I've been collecting that got me hyped. To the point of the show, it definitely was very uneven. Like there were some really great episodes and some just like mediocre to bad episodes, especially the last one for me. I didn't like the suit on screen. I didn't like his final speech. It like just didn't really connect with me, but I like him as Cap. And I like how this looks as a figure. Like, I think that it came out so beautifully. You know, I'm a bargain bin bro. I like to wait, but this is one that I want immediately. I've got a pre-order locked in with Alter Ego, you know, no shipping, no sales tax. And I'm thinking he's going to drop, you know, it's Marvel. He's going to drop low, but like, I think I just want to get him now. Like, I think it's one of those where it's just like, might as well bite the bullet. I want him in the collection. You know, I've got a little more display space now. So yeah, I can't say enough nice things about this figure because I think it's beautiful.
How would you pose it, do you think?
You know, that's a good question. I've seen a lot of displays with him kind of foot up with the wings out. So not even flying, but just kind of standing with the wings. Another great engineering feat that he can stand and have the wings, you know, spread out. So maybe like that, but we'll see. You know, Zach's supposed to look at some 3D printed options for rock bases for me. So we shall see.
I did look. I didn't see anything I loved, but we will keep an eye out.
And, you know, on the point of Alter Ego really quick, this is kind of like back in the day, they used to offer this. If you had a pre-order locked in, they will still honor it. So, you know, kudos to them. And they've kind of said that publicly. Obviously now they don't really give out the no sales tax, no shipping. So if I canceled, I would lose that, you know, godfather or grandfather deal. So
there we go. Now, this figure, I'm torn on. It's the Batman EX suit. I honestly like this so much more than when we first saw it, and nothing really changed. I guess just the design has grown on me a bit, but it's hitting for me. It's expensive. It's definitely an expensive figure, but something about it, I feel like it just looks like a more tactical version of what we saw in BVS, and I mean, it just looks like it would have a tremendous amount of shelf presence. I believe, Ben, you'd probably know this. This is from the Arkham games, correct?
Yeah, Arkham Knight.
Yeah, this looks fucking awesome. But yeah, this one was released also, and you know, this is all going back to that photo they showed us a few weeks ago of the coming soon, which by this point they've knocked out quite a bit of that. Dean, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think like you said, it's kind of like an upgraded version of the armored Batman from BVS. And it can actually fucking articulate, which is a huge plus. I love my armored Batman. I'd be really hard pressed to get rid of it, honestly. And it's such a bummer that it like does little to nothing. So this is cool to see. I wouldn't get this personally, but it is cool.
So I think a couple of quick thoughts. I had the Batman Beyond figure from the Arkham games, and I thought it was an amazing figure in hand. What I didn't realize was that the video game series figures are scaled a little bit larger than I even anticipated. So because it's based on in a game, so when I stood them up to, especially like older figures like my DX12, the Batman Beyond was like a full head and shoulders taller. Like it made like Bale's Batman look puny. Now, obviously, they're scaling those figures up a little bit better, but I would still anticipate, especially with the armor on this guy, that this is going to be huge in the collection. I haven't looked at the actual specs on the height, but if it's anything like that Batman Beyond, it will be massive. One thing that I wish Hot Toys would consider, and maybe we'll get our wish, or maybe I'll get my wish, is more villains in this lineup. So we've had a Joker from the Arkham series in the past, which was really well done, but Mr. Freeze was one of the best villains in that series of games. And I mean, like with the ice base that you get with this guy and everything, it would be really, really cool to have a 6-scale Mr. Freeze in the collection. So crossed fingers that they watch this show and will take the recommendation, or just the outcry from the community, because we've had a lot of really great Batman figures. We had the Batgirl figure, and then of course we had that Joker, but we need more villains. It's the way she always goes, right? In terms of this figure, it won't come to my collection just because of the scaling next to some of my more movie realistic figures. You would want to likely have kind of a collection of this game kind of on its own terms, or its own shelf at least. But for the detail in the figures, and if you're a huge Batman lover, especially of those games like I am, it's hard for me to pass on this one, because they were some of my favorite games, literally, of all time. I've been disappointed with Gotham Knights. It feels like a gutted version of the Arkham games.
That's a bummer to
but
hear.
that's a different subject. But, yeah. 100%.
No, Ben, I'm with you. Like these games are incredible. This is not one that I ever played, actually. Like I missed it somehow in the transition. They haven't remastered it yet, so I don't really have that emotional connection to the suit, beyond it just looking really cool. I will say, like, almost everything about it works for me, minus the lower body. Like, obviously it has to be this thick, but it kind of just looks like he's wearing like big puffy pants. So not super thrilled by that, but really that's I would say kind of overall a nitpick for a figure that, they didn't necessarily have to give us, but it's cool that they're doing something different. Again, a video game line, which, I'm begging them all the time, like, give us more video game figures. So not many complaints on this one. It's going to be really tough for me not to try to pull the trigger. Obviously, I've got to be more selective moving forward. But, if it goes to the right price, I could really be tempted. But I think I'm just going to have to be good, pass, because, again, I don't have that emotional connection to it.
Sometimes you do have to pass on a figure, even though it looks cool. And I think for me, this is probably going to be a pass at the moment.
Especially one this big too, right? Like, it's going to take up a lot of real estate. Yeah. So you better not regret that purchase.
God, it does look so cool though. I just don't. The one thing, I just was looking through the photos right now, that weird slideshow projector he has on the arm. That's a weird thing. Mars Toys put up a new Joker for pre-order. This one is 169, releasing Q3 2023. I like this a lot. I'm not the biggest fan of the Keaton Batman films, but I do like kind of what this has going on for it. I think the price is good. It's a fairly quick release. You're getting this 6 months tops down the line, and all things considered, a fairly iconic look for the character. 3 portraits, some different accessories, plenty of hands. I don't have really a lot to complain about this. In Mars Toys, I think that they have done some really neat stuff in the past. I think the quality per price, as it were, I think is pretty decent. So yeah, this is neat. We also have a Mars Toys Riddler we'll talk about here in a second. But what do you guys think about this? Anyone thinking of pre-order?
I'm not thinking of pre-ordering, but this is the same company that did the other Joker, right? The one Manny got?
I believe so.
It's the same Joker, just like regular look.
Yeah, and these guys, they're doing the more retro Batman and Joker as well.
Yeah.
So.
And as far as I know, Manny was really happy with that figure. So I think if you're really inclined to pick up some of these characters from these older movies, I think Mars Toys is a good avenue to do that without breaking the bank, because the prices they're coming in at is pretty reasonable too. Say what you will about, recasting or whatever the fuck it is this week on who did what head sculpt where. So that to consider, but yeah, I think they're solid releases. I don't really like those movies, and I have my controversial take on Batman. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt.
Sorry, Dean, did you say that you think this is a recast? Or
yeah, I think
because I don't know if I've seen this one specifically.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I don't know that this is a recast from what I've seen, but
not this specific one, but like the
original Joker that Mars
the
Toys
original
came out,
Mars Toys, and
was,
this is probably just a retooled version of that. So
that's fair.
Yeah,
I think this is a really sweet looking figure. That picture on the right is insane. Like, that is Jack Nicholson to an absolute T. If you go back one picture, Zach, one of the things that I thought was really cool with this inclusion was that little mask that he gives his girlfriend after he messes her up. That always freaked me out as a kid. And so I think the fact that they give that to you, I think is a cool inclusion. For the price point, I think these are fantastic for what you can get, especially to complement your Keaton-verse Batman collection. I will say that I've heard Lael mention this figure, or the other Mars Toys version, because he got that one recently and said that the ankles were a little bit loose. Obviously, it's not my collection, so I can't verify it, but that may just be something that you want to take note of if you end up getting this in your collection, just in case the bodies are a little weak. But what's a stand? It's not the end of the world, especially if you get a great representation of this particular Joker. And this was a crazy scene, by the way, and the fact that you get 3 head sculpts with this for the price, I think is also great value. So yeah, I was, as soon as I saw the pictures post on this, I was like, yep, pre-ordering that for sure, 100%. Wow. I just need a Keaton versus Batman now, because I don't have a Batman or Batman Returns. And I know John's not here, so I don't want to talk about reissues too much without the guy, because I can feel his blood boiling when he watches this on reissues, or on replay. But I definitely hope that they give us a new Keaton Batman soon.
Would you get a Flash version if they don't give us, kind of a reissue of the 89?
I don't know. It's a good question, because I really like the yellow belt with the Keaton Batman. Mm-hmm. And since the Flash version is taking that away a little bit and re-upping the suit, iconic. Unless the movie really speaks to me, it wouldn't be as iconic. I'd feel like I'd want to kit bash it and try and change it, in which case I'd rather just wait for another generation. And Hot Toys did tease this not that long ago, or that Batman, I should say. So
2 SKUs of it too. So yeah. I think it's coming, Ben. I think you'll get your wish. Not a whole lot to say about this. Like, for a third-party figure, I think it does look really nice, and the price point seems good. This is definitely not for me, because this isn't necessarily my Batman. It's just a little bit ahead of my time. I will say this hat looks goofy as fuck on the right. Like, that definitely needs some work, but it has so many other display options that you could just leave that in the box and not really be worried by it overall. So really interested to see what Mars Toys continues to pump out. Maybe, tackling some more villains. So I know we're going to talk about another one here in just a second.
Yeah, if you have loose ankles on a figure like this, just pop the ball joints out, put a little clear nail polish, let it dry for an hour, and then just pop it back in. And it's usually good enough, as far as any sort of reasonable articulation. We also got 2 photos here from the Mars Toys Riddler. I think it's too early for me from these 2 photos to really make a determination, but the body that I'm seeing from these 2 photos looks pretty poor. I don't know. There's something about it.
What makes you say the body looks poor?
Yeah, that's an interesting take.
Like, just look at the way the elbows are on the left photo. Mm-hmm. They just look weird. Just the suit looks goofy on the right.
I just think it wasn't fuzzed properly.
Yeah, but again, like we always say, it's always about controlling the message, right? Yep. And especially as competitive as these third-party companies are getting with each other, I don't know that I would have led with these 2 photos. These, I mean, the portraits look fantastic. The outfits just look bad.
Like, I would stop short of fan.
Minus the hat. Yeah, the hat on the right looks fantastic.
I don't think the portraits necessarily look fantastic, in my opinion. Like, I think I could see Jim Carrey, but it doesn't look spot on. For me to take the plunge on a third-party figure, it has to be that damn good. And I feel like it's okay enough where maybe I'll add it if I see more from it. But it's almost to the point where maybe I'll see if Hot Toys ever, obviously they've done 2 from the line. Maybe they'll get brave and do another one if those were popular enough. So I don't necessarily think it looks great, but if I see more, I could be compelled. So we'll see. What do you think, Ben?
I like that this is filling a slot that Hot Toys might not fill, right? We just got the Batman Forever Batman and the Robin behind me. I think it's cool that we might be able to add a Jim Carrey, as well as even I think a Two-Face image has been kind of floated around out there. I think it would be cool to have the full setup. Is this a perfect representation of Jim Carrey? I would say no, but Shauna's not a huge movie buff. I don't know if she's ever even seen this film, and she was able to pick out that it's Jim Carrey. So that tells me that it's at least like a 7 out of 10, if not a little bit higher. I think the picture on the right with him biting his tongue is a unique choice. I don't remember him actually making that face in that movie, and I've seen that movie 100 times, like quite a lot. So that's an interesting one, but again, it's something a little bit different, which I am cool with. I'd be curious to see some of the accessories that he might come with, like if he comes with his Riddler cane and some of that. I think this come
with the cane. That's
right.
Essential piece.
I think this could be. This could be a cool piece. So I'm excited.
What about the brain
see.
drain unit? That would be incredible too.
It would be cool, right? Like if he could at least hold it or something. I never really liked the final movie suit where he's wearing like the white outfit. I always liked this green outfit.
This is the iconic one.
Right? Definitely. So no, I think it's cool looking. And it would be something that I'd wait to see how it sells and kind of what the production looks like. But Mars Toys has been doing a great job. So honestly, give them props for that.
Blackbird Tech pointing out that coming is not spelled correctly. There should be a U in there. So
there we go.
Anyways,
this is calming.
I think for better or for worse, though, I think having 2 expressive sculpts on an expressive character, I think is really nice to see. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think even though, like Ben said, the tongue pose is weird, it doesn't hit that uncanny valley for me that I think Hot Toys sometimes hits with their expressive portraits. I think they look good.
Also, like half of the face is blacked out, though. We got to see it in some better light to.
Yeah, I give you that.
Determine it.
Yeah, I'm not sold on the photo on the left, but the photo on the right looks a little better to me.
It's also the one that's blacked out more, but
yeah, exactly. So it's like, but yeah, I don't hate them.
Now, Jazz Inc. dioramas. I want to say it's on Friday. They're dropping the pre-order for the '89 Batmobile, and I'm not quite sure what all we'll actually see in that solicitation. Someone asked Yost on the post today. He hadn't posted. They sent out an email blurb whether or not there would be photos of the cockpit tomorrow, and I think Yost said that they were still prototyping the cockpit and all the details. So we may or may not see that, which will be interesting. This is 1/6 scale, and you can see here these are some of the details on that pre-order. The release date is targeted for Q1 2024. There's only going to be one version of the vehicle. The price will be $1,499, and you'll be able to pay it with payment plans up to 12 months. The deposit will be a minimum of $100 with $112.42 monthly charges. Some of the features correctly scaled and sized 1/6 scale 1989 Batmobile. This is officially licensed by Warner Brothers and DC Comics. Light up features on the interior and exterior, smoke and engine sound effects, remote control for lights, smoke and sound effects, the grappling hook, 2 Browning machine guns, and bat discs. This is signed and numbered limited edition signature plate with an opening cockpit, detailed cockpit interior, rubber tires that also rotate, connected front steering wheels, and this is fully assembled, painted, and weathered. Pricing wise for shipping, they do estimate to US. You would be looking at $263 approximately, $280 to Canada, $230 to Europe, including VAT, $400 to Asia, $530 to Australia, New Zealand, and $590 to South America. Some people have said that in Asia they were able to get the DeLorean for just the price of shipping on this. So, it is expensive, and these are expected costs. I don't know if they factor in potential increases that may or may not happen, but it is an expensive vehicle, and I hope that tomorrow they do have actual photos of what they're intending. I really hate for people to make a blind pre-order and be disappointed, though. I think Yost and the team will do as much research as possible to make it accurate. And this is a project that they have been asking for in his group for a long time, and I'm happy for those that want it. I'm glad that those that had some issues with the Hot Toys are able to get something a little bit more accurate. But yeah, this is really neat. Badfish says, signed by who? This would be signed by Yost and his father Hans for the nameplate. But yeah, what do we? Anyone here tempted by this? We'll obviously have more details on this next week, but
I definitely
for now,
wouldn't.
this is all we got.
Definitely not tempted by it, but I'll tell you this. I love this fucking Batmobile so much, dude. Like,
it might be the
as
best
much as I
Batmobile,
don't
honestly.
like Batman.
Yeah.
This fucking Batmobile is so fucking cool and iconic. Like, you just love to see it. Like, whether you see it in a picture, sometimes on the road, people make this car and like take it to like conventions and stuff, or you see it on a trailer or something. Wherever you see it, it puts a smile on your face. Like, it is so recognizable and cool and just fun.
And it looks like a dick too, so
a little penisy with some, when you
a little phallic.
All the stuff is phallic.
12-inch Moonstream is getting it. Cram says, why would I want something signed by the guy and his dad? I think it's because they're the ones that are creating a portion of it. I don't know how much of the final product is done by Jazz Inc. Perhaps we can get some clarification from them. But yeah, that's what they're doing now with the signed and numbered plates. They signed them, and I think they've been doing that for the last few releases. So it's a part of the Jazz Inc. dioramas experience, I suppose. Ben, Marco, you guys tempted by this?
I will just say, like, the shipping costs, it's just like a non-starter for me. Obviously, statue folks, like, they'll say that that's nothing. You're paying for a $1,500 piece. Like, the shipping is negligible. I think that's kind of how the rationale I've heard. For me, that's just a tough nut to swallow. I'm going to trademark that. No, but it's just, I could be interested in Jazz Inc. in the future if they ever were, with Sideshow. If I had issues, I know that I could go to Sideshow to get replacement parts. There's too many, variables for me right now to ever really consider paying that much for this company, although, people do love their products. So I'm interested to see how this one turns out, but definitely not for me. What do you think, Ben?
So of course, am tempted by it because it's such an iconic vehicle. One of the worries that I would have, and maybe the worry is not the right word, but are we going to see Hot Toys announce their own again, or even a reissue of their previous iteration at a lower cost? Will that undercut the sales of this version from Jazz Inc. enough that he decides to throw his hands up and not make it ultimately? Like, I know he's put a lot of work and time in R&D in already, so I would hope not. I think, he advertises this one as the most accurate version that's out there. I know that the original Hot Toys one hasn't necessarily aged as well as some collectors would have wanted it to, but I've seen that one in person, and that Hot Toys version was still, in my opinion, amazing. So if Hot Toys comes in and does do a reissue or an updated version, which I would hope they would do, fix some of the things that collectors didn't love about it, it would still probably come in at a lower cost. So for me, this is absolutely a wait and see. I'm going to have my very first 6-scale vehicle in my collection with the DeLorean coming soon. I don't necessarily want to start collecting vehicles because that is a bit of a slippery slope. To me, the DeLorean is its own character in the movie. You could almost argue that with this vehicle, with Batman 2. But I don't feel like it's a need unless I was able to get a much better sale on it. And for us here in Canada, for me to get that all the way from Yost, I just don't think I could justify it. I would rather take my chances and get a Hot Toys one down the line, especially if the cost is better. So it looks beautiful. Stoked for the folks that are getting it. I don't think for me the nameplate signing, like the chat is saying, is much of a selling feature. Like, it's nice, but I don't know if I would necessarily even display their signatures. So that doesn't feel like
a piece of art, though. Like, if you have artwork and it's signed by the artists themselves,
that's a good way to look at it. That's a good way to look. I guess it just doesn't necessarily excite me. It doesn't feel like a selling feature of it. That just feels like it should just come with that and call it a day.
Yeah, I don't think you're paying like a huge amount extra for that. I think it's just
part of the package. Part of the package.
Yeah.
But they've done an amazing job, and it does look really well. I'd be worried Shauna would break it. She'd try and drive it down the street or press
the button in the front,
and knock the windows out. It just, you can't have nice things in this house. So
there you go. Yeah, so we'll have more information on this on hopefully next episode. And yeah, Ninja Scroll says there may have been some QC on the 66 Batmobile, so something to take note of. Dante says, what's the quality comparison on Jazz Inc. versus Hot Toys? I haven't owned a Jazz Inc. vehicle, so I can't necessarily speak on that, but I'm sure there's channels out there that compare different vehicles. But I've seen some of the Hot Toys vehicles in person, the Tumbler, which, for what it's worth, did have a lot of QC issues with the little winglets on the back. The pistons would snap off. But overall, it was a nice vehicle. One thing that concerns me, though, Ben, you mentioned Hot Toys. I think they're 1-1 for both just straight reissuing a vehicle in the Tumbler, and then with the DeLorean actually changing it and updating it. So, it could, the ball could go either way, right? They could do a straight reissue of this vehicle. They could
tweak it a little bit.
Tweak it a little bit. I would say, though, as far as like Jazz Inc. putting something up for pre-order and then not making it, I've never seen them do that. As far as I can recollect, they've made everything that they've solicited formally, like they're doing here.
Didn't that almost happen with the Batman car though? I thought that he would.
I think at that point they hadn't taken any money though yet. I think the distinction that I'm making is once they've started taking orders, they've gone through. That's fair. Regardless if they've lost money on the project or not.
That's fair. I would say that the Jazz Inc. one is probably good quality, mostly at this point because it's also now a licensed product. Like they're no longer a third party.
That's true.
Just trying to make a Batmobile. Like now they're a licensed product, so I would expect pretty high quality, especially at that price point.
And I would assume that Hot Toys would, not do a straight reissue because they have competition in the market. That they at least try to step their game up a little bit, give us a few more bells and whistles, and maybe make it less of just a plastic chunk, but. Yeah, especially if they're going to do another Batman, but we shall see.
Yeah, Badfish is saying, I think the signature may just be for the first people who pre-order. I'm not sure. This is just what's straight in the description of the listing, so I don't think that there's any time limit on the signed and numbered edition. But we'll talk about this next Tuesday if we feel it's worth continuing the discussion on. Hot Toys Collectibles put up a post. This is the 100th anniversary of Warner Brothers. Hot Toys is revisiting characters from the Dark Knight trilogy with multiple features upgraded to improve accuracy, and they're starting with the hulking Bane in 1/6 scale. This one is coming in at $309, releasing January to June 2024, and this figure really forms the basis of our main discussion for today. So we're going to be talking about this figure and talking in relation to this figure for pretty much the rest of the show. So sit back, relax, and enjoy, ladies and gentlemen. But I think it looks pretty good. I think the portrait looks good. I think Hot Toys is continuing to be the leader in the eye rolling system at the moment. And I think it's nice that they gave you the winter coat. They gave you sort of the shorter coat that he wears in the film. I would say my biggest issue with this figure, which, I think is the issue that I have with any figure like this. I just don't like seamless arms. I know it wouldn't be as clean, but, a simple, Thor-like joint swap at the shoulders, I think would have been nice for those that want to pose in that iconic sort of vest gripping pose. But there are plenty of iconic Bane poses that you can do, sort of like this arms outstretched pose that, I think you can still get your money's worth with this figure. Price wise, I think it's so, no pun intended, but oh wait, no, it doesn't. Just kidding. I was like, it does have the swap out arms, but yeah, this is interesting. They are advertising it as an inner metal skeleton with enhanced articulation range. I don't know that I've ever seen Hot Toys advertised like that, though I could be wrong. But yeah, I think this is interesting.
Zach, can you speculate on what that may mean, though, compared to like the Wonder Woman they just put out that has a seamless body?
Yeah, so let me see if I can find this picture here.
I'd be curious if they advertised that for the Hellboy as well, because it was a similar like figure construction from my recollection.
Yeah, Ben, go ahead and start pulling that up for me if you don't mind. I will look, because there was a photo recently where someone had an Ahsoka that the arm burst open, and I don't think there was a metal endoskeleton inside of it, though.
Got it. Okay.
I could be wrong. But basically, like Bison, there's like a metal structure on the inside that essentially is like the skeleton of the figure, and all the joints are basically, like steel or I don't know, some sort of metal. But yeah, this is interesting. For some reason, I don't think that they've ever advertised that metal skeleton. That's typically like a Fison TB League kind of deal. But yeah, I mean, I think it looks good. There's some issues with the proportions that we'll definitely talk about, but yeah, I'm curious to see what Ben's able to find, and if I'm able to find this picture of this arms that tore.
Yeah, so it's saying just in the description, so it didn't mention that, so I thought it might. So it just says, for the Hellboy, newly developed muscular red-skinned body with over 20 points of articulation, featuring detailed skin textures, tendons, seamless elbow joints, built-in joints, and neck and tail, but doesn't mention a muscular, like the body inside. I thought it was.
Someone tear the arms real quick and let me know.
There you go. So Ben, have you been any more tempted? I know you already have your custom Bane, but seeing more and more of this, are you getting tempted at all?
I feel like I need your help and the chat's help on my decision-making process here. So I customized my DX12 with the Armory head sculpt, a new Jackson Chew cape, and I've loved that figure ever since. So I was not tempted to upgrade to the DX19. Even though I've got the 2-pack Joker coming from InArt, and that Joker is going to be slightly more in line with scale with the DX19. I was able to kind of feel my way around that. I was like, it's fine. I can pose them kind of close, not necessarily beside each other, and feel like I can get away with it. I've got the Bane 1.0 version, and I've heard the community kind of giving that figure shit this week, which I'm surprised about, because in hand, actually, it's still one of my favorite figures that I have in my collection. I've always thought it looked like Tom Hardy. I've always had it with like his overcoat on, and so you don't see the joints or really the musculature necessarily underneath anyways. I know our buddy Joao Breda said that he took his jacket off and it had actually stained his arms on his 1.0 version. I haven't had that experience. I took it off the other day just to check, and it was fine. This Bane is obviously significantly larger than even my 1.0 version. He'll be way bigger than my DX12. And he'll obviously be a little bit more in line with the Jokers I've got coming. The Dark Knight films are my favorite films of all time. So if I were going to have a grouping of characters in my collection that I like invested real money into, it should be this line. But I've also been really happy with the DX12 and the Bane 1.0 version that I have. So do I gut the collection, resell the ones that I've got at a loss, and pay more to get a DX19 in hand plus this Bane? Or do I just stick with what I've got and put that money into all of the other cool shit that is coming out there? My FOMO side of me doesn't want to miss out. I think this looks amazing. It's clearly an improvement over the 1.0, but like justifying taking the loss and spending all that money again, I don't know if it makes sense for me. What do you guys think?
Yeah. So big no on taking the loss. Yeah, I hate that option. I would say the only way that you could justify it, if you wanted to pose this guy without the coat and then have the other version posed in the very classics. So if you could justify 2 Banes in your collection, that's the only way that I could see, you adding it. The only reason I bring that up is because I really want to display him with the coat, but because the body is so beautiful, I think the coat will stay in the box. So at that point, am I getting another third-party figure to maybe display the coat with? I'm kind of going through those options here. Or, I never get 2 of a figure, but is this one that I would consider getting 2 of? Just like you, Ben, obviously the Dark Knight trilogy, my favorite, trilogy. And although I don't love the Dark Knight Rises as much, I think Bane is like probably the second strongest villain out of the trilogy. So, and Tom Hardy's, incredible. I know Dean's going to say, he's a dud in this, but yeah, I just really like everything about the figure, and don't want to push you into any FOMO because I know it's so easy to do here. But I would say that's the soul searching that I'm doing myself, and I'm sure you're doing as well, on if we can justify 2 different looks for this figure. Dean, what do you think?
Well, and sorry,
go ahead, Ben.
Sorry, before you go, Dean. I think the challenging part is not necessarily even justifying having two Banes, but is it then do I buy a DX19 or hope for an in-art Batman to come out so that they're all scaled with each other? Because I put this Bane next to my DX12 and it's going to look ridiculous. Like it just won't be the right scale together anymore. And you know, maybe in my mind's eye I can kind of pass it off as Bane is just a big dude. But I'd be worried it would look weird. And then I've been able to talk myself out of the DX19. The only fold in that I might have is if InArt comes out with their own Bale, Batman, maybe a 2-pack, something along those lines that gives me more and gives me more of a reason, I should say, to justify moving the Batman on. I don't think I would have two Banes in my collection. I just don't think it would make sense. I try to stick to one figure for every representation I have. And as I said, I've had this guy in my collection. I've always been happy with it. The fear of missing out is hard. I think it was Krem that said in the chat, or maybe I got that wrong, but that, you know, people will always shit on the previous version, even if the newer version is not that much better. And like, that's true. But this guy is definitely better. I just don't know if it justifies me getting the collection and hitting the reset button.
And I don't think you have to worry about Batman at all, right? We know InArt's going to do it. We don't know if it's going to be a 2-pack, but if you're really inclined, you can go really premium if there's room in the budget. And I'm sure at that time, people are going to be, you know, selling off that DX19 to buy the InArt version. So I think you'll be able to get a Batman, no problem. I will say PT Works says, agreed with Marco, his Bane is going to beat up my DX12 and DX19 posed with my Batpod and Tumbler. I think you could have Bane lifting the cool. DX12 if you really wanted to.
That's a good idea.
Again, I'm not trying to pressure you, but I think there are ways to, you know, justify in your head here, Ben.
You guys are all dangerous folks.
Trying to be a good friend.
I want to hear Dean's take in his Bane voice, by the way.
He's going to humble us all right now.
Buying this figure would be painful for me. It's definitely an improvement on the original one. Let me get that out in the open. It's much better. The proportions look much closer to the film than the original figure. Did they fix the height at all? Does anybody know?
I don't think they
I don't
showed.
have a photo
Can
here,
you go
but
to the
it's
side by
probably...
side with the arms, Zach? I don't know if they're like lined up, but it. You were
I don't
there.
know if I have the photo.
Right there. Go back one more. Right there.
Oh yeah, he's probably a little taller.
Seems like he's a little bit taller there.
Okay, because I saw one with the Batman next to the original one, and like Batman was like taller than him, and I was like, that seems silly.
Bale is way taller than Tom Hardy, though.
It's important to
but
remember actor height versus character height.
I know, the camera tricks.
Yeah, so it just seemed kind of silly that Batman would get whooped by this tiny guy. Tiny and like a height says fucking Tom Hardy was jacked. But anyway, so I think it's an improvement, and I think that it's good to see. I think Hot Toys deserves the credit where credit is due. You know, they did the detail on the neck. It's seamless, which a lot of people were concerned about. Not really anything to do with the wrist, unless you gave us those weird articulated hands that just like the fingers always look all fucked up. So I don't mind the wrist articulation. I would have liked to have seen leather, like actual leather on the jacket instead of another pleather.
Yeah.
But I think like this is the Bane to get currently. I know there's some third-party ones out there, and you can make a pretty decent Bane, you know, kit bashing if you really needed to. But yeah, I mean, it's 100 years of whatever the fuck, and we're getting figures we've already gotten before. Like, am I a little kind of underwhelmed? Yes.
What would you like to see to match the festivity?
What was it, Warner Brothers?
Yeah, like I mean, what would
I'd have to go through their catalog and see what they have, but it's like, does it really have to be the Dark Knight again? Like,
I mean, it's also what licensed Hot Toys have from to select from. And
sure,
I think they've certainly been going back and revisiting this film. So
yeah,
Nurse Joker probably. I don't think Hot Toys would ever have. I don't think it would be smart for them to make a purple coat Joker at this point. I think.
Yeah, I think a Nurse Joker would have been smart because they've already 100%. Done 2.0s on everyone else, right?
Yeah, they've had Batman. They have Two-Face.
They did Scarecrow, Two-Face, Catwoman. Yeah, it's like, okay, like, does Bane make sense? Sure. Is it kind of boring? I think so. But again, I don't really like these movies. So, like, if you're excited for it, that's really cool, and I'm glad for you.
We will talk about the two jacked, my friend. You don't you worry.
Yeah, I see that as well. So I'm excited to get into that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm so sick of this fucking movie. And then it's like, well, InArt's doing this, and what if they do that? It's like, oh my God, I'm never going to get away from this fucking movie. But I'm here for the listener, not for me. So we're going to talk about it. Let's get into it. Let's get into
it.
And I will just say the 100 years pointing out Warner Brothers as a license that they're, going deep down. To me, it feels almost like a shot at InArt. And maybe that's just, I don't know, I'm projecting there, but because those are their main license, right? Those are the main license that they have.
It's different markets, though.
Well, okay, but they're importing over here, so it's competition. Anyways, let's move on.
So these are the K1 Master side by sides movie and Hot Toys comparisons.
It's a movie in 720p. What the fuck was that?
Well, you're not fucking ripping straight from the Blu-ray, my guy.
You could have asked me.
I think Hot Toys. Maybe a little bit of extra weathering on this jacket here on the right, or the vest rather. It almost looks like it's the wrong color, but I think overall, I think they've done a good job. Actually, the more I look at it, this jacket fits pretty poorly on the Hot Toys compared to the actual. I take everything at nice.
It with that jacket, though.
Now, my biggest complaint is I genuinely think this figure is way too bulky, and I know for years collectors have been doing like the Fison, like, where you buy the head and the outfit, and then you just get like the most jacked Fison body that you can find, and that's your Bane. And I think we have that ingrained in our minds. But in reality, he was a monster. Don't get me wrong, but the Hot Toys is like, in my opinion, like next level jacked, and it kind of brings me to our main talking point tonight, which is, and this is a very like. It's not a very concrete discussion. Like normally we have things that we can prove tangibly with our discussions. This is more like your opinion, how you feel about things. So our main topic of tonight is the Mandela effect. So the Mandela effect refers to a situation in which a large mass of people believes that an event, or in this case an image, occurred when it did not. The term was first originated in 2009 by Fiona Broom after she discovered that she, along with a number of others, believed that Nelson Mandela had died in the 1980s when he actually died in 2013. Now, I do have your hot seats for tonight. So, Dean, the Dream Martin, I'm going to show each of you two images, and you tell me which is the correct image and which is an incorrect image. Okay. Dean, which of these images is correct of Mr. Monopoly?
I mean, I already know this one. It's the one on the left. It's the Monopoly guy without the monocle. But
all right.
Everyone remembers him with the monocle. It's even a fucking joke in Ace Ventura.
All right,
Dean
gets yeah. We don't need a full life story, but Dean gets 1 point.
I liked it
for this one.
It's Marco, the Monopoly guy.
Marco or Ben, would you like to go next?
I will kick. I'll defer. Go ahead.
Okay, Ben. Looney Tunes spelled Toons or Tunes?
Toons.
That is incorrect. It is Tunes.
That's a tough
Marco,
one.
Pikachu with the black spot on his tail or Pikachu without?
Oh, this is the same picture. Wow, shit. I have to say on the right. It has to be on the right.
That is correct. So the Mandela effect, again, the way that you remember things may be slightly different. And me and Marco had been discussing this before we wanted to bring it up as a topic. But essentially, do you want your collectors to feel right to you? You know, when you close your eyes and you think in your mind's eye, do you want a figure that feels right or do you want a figure that is right? Okay,
and I want to screen accurate, or looks at like how you remember it, right? Is that
yeah, exactly. So I want the chat to chime in as well, and Marco and I have pulled some examples. Star Wars, for example, a lot of people think that Vader's helmet is all black, that his armor is all black. In reality, it's a mixture of black and gunmetal, and this was done to create a little bit of a Harlequin pattern. Helps the mask. Some of the detail in the mask show through, and in each of the films, the pattern is present. And you know, the films, the sculpting of the helmets is a bit different, but they still do have those Harlequin effects.
You blew my mind with that one. I did not know that at all.
Yeah, C-3PO having a silver leg. A lot of people think he's completely gold from head to toe, but in reality, in the original trilogy, he has the silver on his right leg. This is, to me, you know, I'm going to die on this hill, but I genuinely don't. I think the Hot Toys has a great Mandalorian portrait. Don't get me wrong. But I think it's like 10 years too young, Din Djarin. He's not like, he doesn't really look like the portrait, in my opinion. I may be incorrect.
Yeah, he's got a pretty bad receding hairline.
Yeah, so, you know, take it or leave it. But again, do you want to close your eyes and see what you imagine Din Djarin looks like, or do you want to see the incredibly handsome, though definitely more aged, Pedro Pascal? And I would say I'd be happy with either, but I do like what Hot Toys gave us here.
Give us the most fuckable version, for sure.
The Mandalorian. A lot of people want this shit to be like super Merichrome, and they're going back and taking all this chrome weathering off, which I do think it's heavy-handed, but in reality, in the show, his armor isn't like a Merichrome finish. It's, I would almost say, somewhere between the first Beskar and the second one. But a lot of people, you know, in their mind's eye, they want this, you know, Merichrome finish almost, and they're reworking their armors to have that, which, you know, again, this is their figure. They can do what they want with it. The Iron Man Mark I, people think it's this massive hulking suit. In reality, compared to the other suits, this is by Hot Toys, and you might say, well, Hot Toys fucked up the scale before. You are correct, but compared to other figures like the ZD toys shown here by Justice Collection, even within that same line, they're all, you know, fairly recent figures. It is by far the shortest armor of the Hall of Armors. Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi, a lot of people thought the cloak was black. In fact, it is brown. The black cloak is... you know, this is a more recent edition with the Mandalorian costume. Bane, again, we mentioned it, but I think it's far too bulky. So I ask you on the panel and you at home, do we want our figures to feel right, or do we want our figures to be right? Because I do think, you know, there are differences, right? Like, obviously you want this massive, hulking, you know, super buff Bane, you know, breaking Batman's back, but in reality, I think the build of the one that they showed in the comparison that Hot Toys showed, I think that's actually, you know, a far more accurate build to what we see in the film. I'm curious what you guys have to say.
Yeah. Now that you have Vader on the screen here, I'll talk about my Vader.
Yeah, I can cycle through these photos as you like.
Yeah, and you helped me put together my Vader, so you can speak on this. I started with a base Sideshow Deluxe Darth Vader, which is fucking huge. He's like a head taller than he's supposed to be, if not more. He's massive. It's like unbelievably incorrect in size. It's crazy. But to me, that is Darth Vader. Every time he's on screen, that's all you see. Like, he's such a presence that I was like, I actually don't mind the fact that my Darth Vader is way too big. So I actually kept the original body and I changed other stuff about the figure to make it better, right? I changed the helmet, I, you know, changed the robes, this and that. But I kept the body because, to me, Darth Vader is larger than life, and I want him to look like that on the shelf. So I think it depends on the character. Like Bane, give me the biggest, fucking buffest body you can put on a Bane, because in every iteration of that character, he's ridiculously shredded. he's got veins coming out of his body that are like green and shit. Like Bane is supposed to be that hulking kind of intimidating guy, right? But you know, if you have like your Tony Stark and he's like 2 feet taller than he's supposed to be next to Thor, it's like that looks fucking goofy as shit. So I think it just depends on the character or how important I guess that character is to you. But that's my 2 cents.
Checking in with the chat, Tyria says, Mandela Effect had me recently. Mr. Bean only had like 15 episodes, whereas I thought it had seasons upon seasons. PT Works says a combination of both. I'm fine. Cuervo, I personally could care less if things aren't screen accurate. As long as it's close, all good. I don't want to stress about stuff like that. DJ says, to me, the head sculpt looks like Vito Corleone. You're not wrong. Shooter says the jawline is too square.
It's Oberyn Martell right there.
Yeah, Niculio says, don't mind modding if I do want more accuracy, but close enough is just fine for me. Cuervos, again, says it's meant to be a hobby and fun. If I start stressing about perfection, I will never be happy. Rob says they established the superior Beskar when he first got it all shiny straight from the armor, but now that he has some fights, it's more lived in looking, which I prefer. Even in those initial shots, it's not like mirror chrome, just for what it's worth. DJ says depends. Some things look better and accurately, and some don't. OG fan, it's how it makes me feel. Sometimes good enough is good enough. Blackbird, I want accuracy, but some subtle differences here and there aren't deal breakers either, as long as it's pretty close. 1/6 shooter, that's it. It's the presence and the way the camera portrays them to be. Ben, what do you think here? This is a very mind's eye type of discussion. We're kind of going into uncharted territory for us here, but are you a stickler for screen accuracy, or do you want things to feel right to you? And I think it's something that I've struggled with for a long time as a collector.
It's an amazing question because I've got. I think it kind of depends on the character, like you guys were saying earlier. For me, when it comes to the face, the head sculpt, I want that to look as accurate as possible. I think that Pedro Pascal head sculpt is good, but like you said, if he had a bit more of a receding hairline, if they'd aged up his jawline just a little bit, if they'd made him a 10 out of 10, that would have been a head sculpt I feel like I just absolutely could not miss having in my collection. When I look at a character on my shelf, I don't want it to feel like it's the Wish version of the character. I want it to be a shrunk down representation of that person. When it comes to the outfit or the body, I'm okay closing my eyes, and as long as my mind's eye representation of that outfit is close, I'm okay with that. So this Robin actually is a good example of that. This Robin's outfit is significantly more red than the film. In the film, it's a lot more toned down, almost like more of like a darker metallic red.
It's like a bronze almost, like
a
copper bronze.
Yeah, it's quite different than the figure. Now, when I'm looking at this guy on my shelf without a movie still next to it, I'm like, yeah, that's Robin from Batman Forever. If I pull up the screen, I'm like, it's not really accurate, but I'm okay with that because it's the outfit, it's the body type. Again, his codpiece is larger in figure representation even than in the film. But like when I close my eyes, I think the body or the outfit can have some artistic representation. I think as soon as you get away from that accuracy with the head sculpt, that's when figure representation in my collection really takes a nosedive. And I'll literally talk myself out of figures because I don't love the face. The Neytiri Avatar figure that's been recently announced. I saw the film and the newest film, and immediately it re-inspired my love for the Avatar franchise. I had a great time watching the movie. Neytiri is an amazing, badass character in that movie, and I was like, if they release any character from that movie, I want it to be Neytiri. I would get her by herself. And when I saw the face, it's just not there for me. Her eyes aren't as big, they're not as round, they're not as glowy. She just, like, as an alien goes, she's not as pretty of a blue alien as she is in her film representation, and I just don't see it. So I don't want to own it. I just don't. For me, it talked me out of the figure entirely. Unless they update it, I won't do it. So I think it will depend on face likeness versus outfit likeness. If they're both off, then yeah, I usually don't necessarily buy the figure. But I wouldn't buy a figure that just has an amazing outfit and a sculpt that I didn't think looked like the character well enough anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Not unless I was paying bargain bin prices, at least. Maybe that's when it also changes. We're paying such a high dollar amount for these to have them in our collections, that obviously you want them to be as accurate as possible. But it's in the face where it's really going to bring that out for me.
Absolutely. You know, for me, I think it's like the rule of cool, or like whatever looks badass, right? So obviously they talked with Dave Filoni, and why am I forgetting his name? He directed Iron Man.
Jon Favreau.
There you go, Jon Favreau. When they were talking about the behind the scenes for this Mandalorian, you know, iconic scene, and they were just talking about how hard it was to get Luke to be what you remember him as a kid. It's like we can go completely screen accurate, but everyone remembers the black coat, and it actually looks, cloak. It actually looks more badass when it's all black. So for me, I think I kind of lean towards whatever just looks cooler. I guess that kind of goes towards the feel that you were talking about. If it feels correct, then and that's really what I want representation of. For the Mark I, that's one that I'm, sitting on the fence on, because I want to see how it turns out. I'm not happy with the scale, even if it is accurate to the movie. I remember that being a hulking, big, wide, tall suit. So if it comes out and is this little guy, and I try to pose him next to any of my other Iron Men, that's not going to feel right to me at all. And so, yeah, kudos, I guess, to Hot Toys for getting it screen accurate, but that's a big old suit from what I recall from the movie. So, yeah, it just would dissuade me from going down that route. Let's see, some of the other examples. What were some of the other examples? Oh, and then on the Bane, obviously. I want him big. Like, I want him to be a big, beefy guy, even if, they kind of would have shrunk him down to be more screen accurate, it wouldn't have felt correct. And so I think this body, seeing it immediately, it's like, that's Bane from what I remember. He broke Batman's back, spoiler warning. And yet that is the perfect representation that I want on my shelf. So I will always go towards feel over screen accuracy.
But it's interesting because you wanted me to try and talk you out of getting the Aragorn from InArt, because you're not a huge Lord of the Rings fan. Mm-hmm. Fan for sure, but not a huge one. But then when they showed that newest prototype, I don't even know if I really looked at the outfit, because the head sculpt got me so hard in the feels that I was like, damn, like that is Vigo. Wow. Like it is. Yeah. And so again, that took that from being a cool figure, but I don't know if I'd get it if I didn't need the representation, to holy crap, that looks so much like the actor that I almost can't justify not having it in my collection. Mm-hmm. So for me, as I said, it's that likeness in the face.
No doubt, Ben. Yeah, that's really why I'm into Hot Toys in 1/6 as well, though. Mm-hmm. I love those face sculpts. A really strong sculpt can really, put a borderline figure into a must-have for me. And those are kind of few and far between. But yeah, Vigo, I mean, Aragorn's just such a cool character that the fact that they nailed the sculpt, it like makes it, to me, one that I had to take the plunge on.
Definitely. All great answers from the people on the panel. I think you guys have done very well tonight's discussion, and it's definitely a more thought-provoking one. I appreciate everyone in the comments as well. I'd struggled with how to frame this question for a few weeks, and the Bane was like the perfect opportunity to bring this up. So big shout out to you guys and the chat as well. Our movie of the week is Blockbuster Movie Night, The Pale Blue Eye. Chosen by Sweet Ben. Veteran detective Augustus Landor investigates a series of grisly murders with the help of a young cadet who will eventually go on to become the world-famous author Edgar Allan Poe. Now, full disclosure, we got a lot of messages about the last show and that how we did not talk spoilers, and we heard you guys. So if you haven't seen this movie, I plan to discuss spoilers. I don't know if the team plans to discuss spoilers, but I'm giving you a fair warning that, we do this show with the anticipation that you guys are watching these movies with us and we can all have a discussion. So put that out there.
Yeah, I don't think I could discuss this movie without going into spoilers.
Yeah, and that was the problem with the menu, but I did not like this movie. It seemed like such an unnecessary way to commit a crime. It was like committing a crime with extra steps. Now, in this film, Augustus Landor is the criminal, and he's also the investigator. And he commits this crime because his daughter was, I don't know if we can say that word and get demonetized, but she was sexually assaulted by 3 West Point students. And throughout the film and throughout these murders, he uncovers the identities of the other of the 3 people that committed this act. If anyone has to tune out, I totally understand. Trevor, appreciate you tuning in for the first hour 40. But it just, there's like this twist, and I always say this, but I hate when movies set it up. Like, there's a good twist and a bad twist, right? And, you know, an example of a good twist is Kaiser Soze, right? At the end of the movie, you're like, oh shit, like it was this guy we've been with all the time is Kaiser Soze. Not a good twist, this movie, right? Like, they're setting it up like, damn, like this is so interesting. And then it turns out it's the dude that you're with all the time is the bad guy. And then he's like leaving clues intentionally to be caught because he's like has some honor code. I don't like this movie. I thought that the performances by Christian Bale and the performances by I forget his name, but the Edgar Allan Poe actor, Neville Longbottom from the Harry Potter franchise, I thought those were excellent. I think the mannerisms specifically of Edgar Allan Poe in this film were fantastic. But the plot just genuinely lost me. You know, again, it's just like, if you want to commit a crime, that's one thing, but to like get all these people involved in this whole investigation, and then the ending was just stupid. Like, there was just not a lot, for me personally, not a lot good in the plot. The acting was, however, fantastic. Dean, I'm curious. I think you didn't like this movie as well. What your issues were?
This was a really hard watch. It's not particularly exciting, so there's nothing really kind of keeping you like really engaged other than what the hell's going on. And it's really not, it's just not a very enticing movie. Christian Bale is great. I did actually really enjoy the guy who played Edgar Allan Poe, the actor and the character.
I'm going to pull up his name right now.
Also, is this movie based on any kind of truth?
So Edgar Allan, I did look this up. Edgar Allan Poe did attend West Point, but you know, obviously I don't know that he graduated, but this is a fictional tale.
Because it's almost like, well, why the fuck are you even including Edgar Allan Poe in this? Because it really has no bearing on the story.
Yeah, so the actor is Harry Melling, who plays Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, because I was expecting like, oh, okay, maybe this is gonna like influence one of his stories, and it's gonna come full circle. But it's like, no, this is just something that happened to him on a Thursday, and it was kind of like, what was the payoff of this being Edgar Allan Poe? There wasn't any. It was really bizarre, and then the part that really got me, where I was like, well, this makes zero sense now, is the people that are doing these crimes are this brother and sister who are trying to cure the sister's disease.
Yeah, seizures or whatever.
Yeah, she's got seizures by communicating with the devil, right? They're doing devil worship or
like
whatever.
Witchcraft.
But they're like, we refuse to kill people, right? Like, we will never kill people to accomplish this goal. So it's like, all right, these psychopaths have some kind of code, I guess. But then, like, 15 seconds later, they're about to kill Edgar Allan Poe in a sacrificial ritual. So it's like,
his wrists and shit.
Which is it? Like, you can't have it both ways, because they want this big payoff with Christian Bale, but like, it's just not earned at all. So when they do this whole thing and he saves Edgar Allan Poe in the basement of wherever the fuck they were, doesn't even explain how he found them. He's like, "Where's your family?" And then he was there. I was like, I guess. there was like still like 40 minutes of the movie left, and I was like, oh, so he's the killer. Like it was such a dumb payoff. I was like, this is so bad. Like,
I almost wanted to send Ben my PayPal so he could reimburse me for my 2 hours of time.
Yeah, it just.
I'm gonna start billing y'all for this shit.
Like I said, there was no real payoff for anything being there at all. There was no payoff with him being the killer. There was no payoff with Edgar Allan Poe even being involved. That guy's name could have been.
Yeah, at the end,
Thomas
you're like, oh, he's going to turn him in.
And it
and
doesn't
then he's
matter.
Like, he doesn't. It's like, what the fuck was the point of the whole movie?
Like, it was just not
Signed
good. It just
T.
wasn't
Fiddlesticks.
a good movie. Yeah, T. Fiddlesticks. Like, I was just really expecting, like, he has to be Edgar Allan Poe for a reason. There's none. So
this could have been about Poe Edgar Allan, and it would have been the same movie.
Yeah, it was just like, I wasn't like watching the movie like I'm miserable as shit, but I was watching the movie like this is just not good. Like, it's not bad. It's like I said, like I wasn't angry watching the movie. Like, can this end already? I was just kind of like,
Ben, I stopped playing Red Dead Redemption 2 and watching X-Files to watch this movie.
Ooh,
how dare you?
Merlin.
I would have been. Well, I wasn't. I gotta savor Merlin.
Yeah.
Ben, did you also don't forget I did find that Ahsoka picture, so we'll jump back. But Ben, what do you think about this?
So I had never seen this movie, so that I didn't pick it based on like a previous feeling about it. I on my way to California last week, my teammate Matt watched it on the plane beside me. And at the end of the flight, I was like, how was that movie? And he's like, oh, it was awesome. You know, like Christian Bale is like really good. And like, you got to watch it. You got to watch it.
You hold plane movies to a whole different standard, though.
Yeah,
you are
apparently.
stuck in.
To be fair, Christian Bale is really good in the movie.
And so I was like, okay, well, Christian Bale, it's kind of different. It's a like, I like kind of a detective noir style film. It looked like it had some blood and guts in it. So like clearly it gets into some nitty gritty scenes. Like, it definitely captured my attention from being a passenger on the plane. So I put it out there for us to watch it because like Zach was messaging me while I was mid-conference, and I'm like, this movie, let's try it. Because I was planning on watching it on the plane.
Like, you could have given it to us like, whenever.
Well, I thought you needed to know for the show because the show was going on at the time, right? That. So I was like, I thought Zach needed. So, anyways, that's my defense.
Don't blame me, Ben.
That's my partial defense. I watched it on the plane ride back, and I think you're right, Marco. You do hold plane movies to a higher extent because I had 2.5 hours of time to literally kill. What are you going to do, right?
They are time killers, yeah.
So I didn't hate the movie, but I do agree with all of the great points that Dean made. There was a lot about this movie that I was like,
what about my points?
Well, and Zach too. I'm sorry, but Dean was very, very passionate today in his delivery. The Edgar Allan Poe thing, I agree. I thought that was going to translate to one of his poems or stories. Lenore from The Raven, he mentions Lenore in there. So I was like, okay, there could be some tie-ins maybe to The Raven, right? Or something, but there wasn't. So that was confusing. I agree. It could have been Tom Fiddlesticks. It didn't literally need to be him at all. The acting was good. I liked the tone of the film. I thought the scenery and like how they shot the movie was interesting. I actually didn't see that twist coming with him being the killer at the end, but I wasn't paying attention to the runtime. So as we were kind of getting to what I felt like was the conclusion of the film when he saves Edgar, I was like, okay, like it was good, and then when they did the twist with Christian Bale being the killer, I was like, okay. The reason I didn't like that twist though was because it kind of like it all happened by absolute coincidence. Like it wasn't necessarily it wasn't planned by Christian Bale, right? He didn't know those officers were going to drag him into the investigation. He killed the guy. He was washing his tools. He gets dragged into the investigation. It just so happened that the murderers who are out there on the loose are looking for not only a dead body, but a dead body hanging from a tree. So like that was like really specific and like how coincidental is that possibility, right? And so that all felt like kind of I want to call it like MacGuffin-y. Like it was kind of like forced into a plot to make it be like, and a twist. That felt a little bit hollow. Unlike your example, Zach, with Kaiser Soze, where it was like, for that film, I hadn't seen that movie before. So when it got to that twist at the end, I was like, damn, I didn't see that coming. That was really well played, and did not feel hollow. This conclusion felt a little hollow. I think if you got 2.5 hours to kill and you like a detective story, it's not the worst movie we've seen on Blockbuster Movie Night of the week, but
it is.
It's not the worst by far. It is certainly not.
You got 2.5 hours to kill. Go look at the sun. Or
Go look at the, I would, but I would give it like a 6 out of 10. Christian Bale was by far the best part, and the guy who played Edgar. You guys nailed that. But I'd watch Christian Bale in just about anything and enjoy his presence in the film. Even he couldn't save the plot on this one for me. So I knew you guys would rip it apart as soon as I watched it on the plane on the way back. I was like, oh, these guys are not gonna like this film. You did not disappoint.
I do vote that Ben loses his rights, at least for
Come
one
on,
term,
I've been. That's like
this.
I think I've had 4 choices. This is the worst of the 4.
It's just fun. It's fun to rip on you. Ben, do you want me to pause? Anyone else you want to throw under the bus before we continue? You threw your coworker under the bus. You threw.
Yeah, I shed all accountability for this movie.
There you go. There you go.
Idiot.
Push it all off. I won't say any more than you guys haven't already said. Like, I would say, like, on paper, this is definitely my type of film. Like, it looks beautiful. Obviously, stellar cast. Christian Bale, like, has a great performance. A period piece, it's kind of a little bit more methodical at first. But I think, like you all said, it doesn't go anywhere where there's those payoffs. That if it's going to have that slow burn initially, it doesn't really like pick up to a point where you're like, okay, well, that was worth it. I think if I was watching this on a plane, I probably would have turned it off, a quarter way through and just watched some Better Call Saul. I don't really have much positive to say about this, minus Christian Bale being a standout like he always is. It was a cooler concept than it was an execution of an actual film.
Yeah,
Vintage Rebellion says, go ahead, Dean.
Oh, I was going to say, I even had this on my watch list on Netflix because it did look good. Like you said, the vibe of the movie, the ambiance, the style in which it was shot. I was like, this looks like it's going to be cool. Christian Bale doesn't do shitty movies. Well, here we are.
watching it from the passenger seat with no sound on did look pretty epic.
Yeah.
The Pale Blue Eye, 71% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes in honor of John. 2 hours 10 minutes runtime. Vintage says, "Can you guys commit to some damn classics, please? Aliens, Terminator, 1984, Shore Lord, Jimmy, See Some Love." Not today. Though I will say, those are some classics. We've done a lot of those in the past. We typically don't re-up, but we have new listeners. We might have to revisit them. I know Dean got mad at me when I revisited a film this year, and I thought it was fun. Now, I'm going to bring us back to the promised land, Dean. I think it's time that...
If you say Merlin, I'm out. I'm just saying.
How dare you?
I'm just saying we should do it as Blockbuster so that you'll actually finish it and watch something else for once. But
Zach, before you pick, should we call Ben's coworker to run it by him?
Any other good plane movies?
Yeah, call him so I can tell him to go to hell. My Blockbuster movie night is... Can I get a drum roll, please? Austin Powers International.
Okay, there you go. I can see the smile on John's face right now.
Yeah. I know. I told John last night because he said he might not be able to make it, but I was like, dude,
yeah. What did we say? We have made a joke. Was it during D&D?
Yeah, that's exactly why it's been in my head. Yeah. Oh, you're like, yeah, that's not my bag, baby.
Oh,
and I was like, no,
that's my bag, baby. That sort of thing is my bag. Yeah. Oh man, I'm so excited now.
Save it for the show, Dean.
Oh man. Yeah, Vintage, I promise we'll get some classics in soon. Dean the Dream Martin, can we say thank you to the wonderful pillars that keep the network going?
Yes, the sweet, the beautiful, the 3 pillars. As John says, give a quick shout out to Sean Fear, Ian CV, Renee Mendez, Eric Mariscal, Quinn Aguirre, King Louis, Mark Pearson, Paul Schreiber, James Colley, there's Kevin, right on time, Equan, Chris Valen, Serena, Ben Thomas, Chris Letty, David Jones, Sam Gist, Daminator, Joao Bretta, Thomas Clark, Eric Switzer, Sweet Danny Lee, Deanie Martin, Stephen Krepp, Big Ol' Fern, King Zach, Caesar Marquin, Mark Phillips, Lisa Martin Bomaski, Rick DeGregorio, The Everyday Collector, Ricardo Valdez, Jose CZ, Erwin Azucena, The Illustrious Rainer, Alan Morgan, Tu Cothery, Wad, Derek B, Aries Portillo, Mark Randolph, what's that one? Joe
Ridley.
Joe Ridley. Sorry, the logo's cutting off. Joe Ridley, Pablo Meza, Carlos Saavedra, D-Rock, Matt Clevenger, Seth Tucker, CC3PO, Scott Smith, Domaton, Jimmy James, Stephen Purchett, Sean Usby, Scott Bradley, Steve and Maria Stanley, Eddie Manzanares, Louis Bennett, Chip Perrin, Jimmy Hernandez, Gigi the Judgmental, and Brenton Palmer. What a bunch of angels. Okay, here.
We should definitely watch Merlin as the movie of the week, season 1. It is so good. Our January Patreon benefits the Ox PD sticker and the Ox PD Chase sticker now. If you're a Patreon member tonight, I need you to go in the Patreon chat and let me know what stickers you want to see for February. We're already kind of creating a list, and we need some ideas. Otherwise, we're just going to get another Zach sticker. Just kidding. Patreon starts at $5 a month for the digital tier, $7.50 for stickers sent straight to your door, and access to Ox After Dark replay. $15 gets you the certificate of crispiness and figure fix assistance, and What a Guy gets you the doubles of all the stickers we send, a Pog Deluxe set, and all the benefits of the previous tiers. Our YouTube channel members, we have Mojo, Z78, Absolute Irwin, DK Avenger 702, OMFG Rick, S-Beam, Andres IB, Daminator, Sam Gist, Thomas Clark, Benjamin Hansen, Chris V, Big Alfred, Cram, Victor Juarez, OG Fan, Mark Pearson, Ben Thomas, Paul Schreiber, Andrew Gibo, CC3PO, Carlito, CT603, Eddie Money Mendez, Sia Dreams, JC B-Chan, Fat Batman, and Justin Sports Cards Museum. You can join the channel membership in the Patreon tier if you're a Patreon member for 99 cents or Peanut Gallery for $2.99. I think we may actually have unlocked another emoji. I need to double check that, but we'll also have a chat and see what we want to use for that new slot. Taking a look at the network, we had unboxing last night. You can check out Lane opening up the Beskar Mando, and then I opened up Toothless, and CC and Danny opened up some comics.
Did Lane ever find his piece?
I have not heard from him. To the affirmative. After Dark tomorrow at 10:30, we have OFAC may be pushed back to next Thursday. Ben, I'm not sure if you saw the message in the reissue chat, but we may possibly want to explore recording that on Thursday, but we'll confirm that sometime soon, or worst case it'll be next Sunday. Had a little bit of a family thing come up for our initial scheduled time. My apologies. We have Pose Wars on Saturday if we can find enough posers. So if you're a poser and you want to pose, you let me know, because I think we may just barely be making it. Brenton's Question of the Week every Sunday, and Collectors Club, of course, on Friday at 10:30. Live and Let Dice, our Dungeons & Dragons show, had an amazing episode last Saturday. Even if you're not a listener of Dungeons & Dragons, it was a really fun show. I encourage you to check it out. I think it's basically our penultimate series of episodes, and our big multi-part finale will be coming up. Look at that, Gigi, in the YouTube stream.
She wants to be on Pose Wars.
Really?
Yeah, a new challenger has entered the ring.
Actually, that would be awesome.
You guys could both pose together.
Yeah, okay. No, I might just sit it out, honestly, but we'll see.
No, you guys head to head. I want to see that.
Well, that would be amazing.
You and I head to head, Ben.
Whoa, what the hell?
I don't want to be together.
Whoa. Wow, what did that do? That's not what that was supposed to do.
Yeah.
TeePublic. Jesus, I messed my whole screen up. TeePublic, there's the link there if you want to buy shirts from the network, and our socials: Facebook, Collecting Weekly, Collecting Weekly Auxiliary, Instagram at Collecting Weekly, at Collecting Weekly _clips, and at John the Everyday Collector. And don't forget, on 1/6 kit, you get $10 off your next purchase using code CW10. Boy, I'm about to sneeze. Jesus.
Wow.
Dean, do you have any shout outs you want to give?
Shout out Gigi. She's always in the chat.
shout out to Gigi for sure.
Rooting for Kevin.
It's by far the
Marco's
best half.
never given me a shout out, and how dare you?
It's true. I'll give you one when you deserve one.
Shout out John. He couldn't be with us today, but
yeah, he was bummed out.
Yes, John.
That big old goober's out there somewhere doing his thing. Shout out Ben. He tried so hard to be here on time. He was like stressing out.
I was so stressed.
He was freaking out.
Shout out Mercari's team looking out for your boy. So nice. Whoever that scammer was, fuck that guy.
Can you imagine if tomorrow you get it and it's like asshole. Legit,
bro? Yeah. I'm not telling anyone if that happens, but
wow.
Yeah,
it's between you and Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, you put this on Instagram, so I don't know if it's top secret, but shout out to Gigi. You finished your service with the National Guard.
I didn't come here to get attacked.
Oh, yeah.
No, that was a shout out.
Yeah,
what do you mean get attacked?
Yeah.
What the hell?
I did.
I was like, who's attacking?
Because Marco
yeah.
get his discount
And I didn't even buy an OLED before she got out too. I'm tripping.
Oh, you hate to see it. You don't. It expires automatically. The discounts.
You have to be like you can't go on base after you're done with your
Wow.
service.
I still get my student discount on Amazon or something like that. Anyways, well, hopefully, thank you for your service, Marco and Gigi. Appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
Land of the free because of the brave, right, Marco?
That's right, exactly. I'm holding it down over here with my dolls. Really quickly, shout out to Manny again for mocking up those terrific logos. Like really over the moon with what he came up with, and yeah, the dude is awesome. So.
Gigi, I think they do want to see you pose, so if that was a serious suggestion, I think you may be drafted into the pose war.
That would be fun. That would be really fun.
And you've got the figure that Thomas sent you as well. So okay, she's
going to get popularity points, though. I don't know if I want to be in there if Gigi's in there. That's popularity
Thomas is sending
points.
figures. Did mine get lost in the mail, Thomas?
Yeah, no, only to VIPs. Sorry.
Wow, how dare you? What did Thomas send you?
You'll see it on post.
Wow, fake. First of all, fake fan.
Wow,
Definitely a
that
fake
is true.
fan.
I will admit, Marco has been a bit dry lately.
Wow.
Just kidding.
Wait till I get it to Oxcon though. It's gonna be extra wet.
Oh, Jesus.
October 21st, baby. I'm letting everyone know now. October 21st. That's likely when Oxcon 23 will be. Ben.
No, you're not kidding. You're not serious, are you?
Yeah. You have a wedding that weekend?
Don't say it. Oh, don't you say it.
Well, I guess you're going to be driving around, my guy.
That's right.
I'm not coming if Dean's not coming. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there.
Oh, Dean will be
Don't worry.
coming. Yeah, we'll all be coming. Wait, Gigi, are you going to be there? I wasn't going to. Are you planning?
Yeah,
I think we lost like 40 people. They're like, this is a garbage show.
Yeah, I might be there.
Might? What the hell?
What if I don't pass the bar?
If you go, I have to invite.
That's an even better reason to go. If you didn't pass the bar, what's going to happen?
Bro, Sideshow is
it's not like you're going to fail it if you didn't pass it already.
Sideshow is sending a replacement for Lane.
Did he? Wait, what?
That's what he just told me.
I hope he was honest. Lane messaged me. I got to know the story. Anyways, shout out to everyone that tuned in. I know the show was a bit different in the way that we structured it, but I think it was a good discussion. And we appreciate everyone's comments, and we love you, and we thank you for being here. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Bye.
Wow.